wrong. Really show me better. Only kind of love. It's ever the one I want. I'm lifting you higher, higher. There's nothing that I'd rather do. A sweet elevation, our praises. There's no one I love more than you. I never knew a love like this before. The kind of life that I cannot find on my own. I've seen the world, but I have never been so sure that I want your heart. God, I just wanna be where you are. Where you are. I just wanna be where you are. Like nothing I've seen. My wildest dreams don't come close. I've never known better. You're living like this, I cannot resist. You are, I'm lifting you higher, higher. There's nothing that I'd rather do. A sweet elevation, our praises. There's no one I love more than you. I never knew a love like this before. The kind of life that I cannot find on my own. I see the world, but I have never been so sure that I want your heart. God, I just wanna be where you are. Where you are. I just wanna be where you are. Where you are. I just wanna be where you are. And after all this time, with you by my side, I can't imagine what it'd be like on my own. I made up my heart, this love is all I've got, and you're the only one I know we're living for. A sweet elevation, our praises. There's no one I love more than you. I never knew a love like this before. The kind of life that I cannot find on my own. I've seen the world, but I have never been so sure that I want your heart. God, I just wanna be where you are. Where you are. I just wanna be where you are. Where you are. I just wanna be where you are. Church mother in they church hat clap. Man, the sugar gave her color purple coming back clap. When that whole week beat you up and stress you, but you hear that organ playing and remind you of your blessings. And on another note, she just hit another note. Chills down my spine, got me crying, make me overload. You don't know better, know. Old school church hymns, speakers glitter, I'm in that drama, been first. Lord, Lord, Lord. Can you hear me now? Church close, sweaty, you don't care, you just get it now. Testify how we made martyrs out of these fathers and rose up all of his daughters to glorify him with honor. Man, swear, Sam Jones with her head dead, now it's flying everywhere, she don't care what her head dead. She in the head, yeah, caught up in the head, yeah. Probably why she clapping like Jesus is real bad, yeah. Give me that God Almighty, that God, oh, that old school doctrine. Give me that truth for the body. church clapper, ain't a clap in the heavens, then that clap, kiss a clap, clap. Oh, son, glorified, sin mortified. The Holy Spirit going where that you may water down. It's sound doctrine, birds in the garment. Let the robbers singing loud, but that ain't what about time. The church has been clapping at weak sermons, leaving the weak hurt that was changed by Sunday service. We need discernment, check what you be affirming, cause the church can be full of members, but empty in conversion. Preach the gospel, stand back, look to change lives, not for hate class, love people well. Oh, they can stand at the church with the words about stand back. Give me that God Almighty, that God, oh, back on that old school doctrine. Give me that truth for the body, ain't nothing to do about it, but it's there for the power. The church clap, let me hear the church clap, church clap, let me hear the church clap, church clap, let me hear the church clap, church clap, let me hear the church clap. Come on. When you found me, I was so blind. My sin was before me. I was swallowed by pride. But out of the darkness, you brought me to your light. You showed me new mercy and opened up my eyes. From the day you saved my soul, till the very moment when I come home, I'll sing, I'll dance, my heart will overflow. From the day you saved my soul. Where a brilliant light is all around, and endless joy is the only sound. Oh, rest my heart forever now. Oh, in your arms I'll always be found. From the day you saved my soul, till the very moment when I come home, I'll sing, I'll dance, my heart will overflow. From the day you saved my soul. My love is yours. My heart is yours. My life is yours. Forever. My love is yours. My heart is yours. My life is yours. Forever. Save my soul till the very moment when I'll sing, I'll dance, my heart will overflow. From the day you saved my soul, from the day you saved my soul, till the very moment when I come home, I'll sing, I'll dance, my heart will overflow. From the day you saved my soul. From the day you saved my soul. Watch where you're going. Whoa. Oh.
Pedal, pedal, pedal. Pedal faster.
Awesome. I saw it. Awesome.
Your mama saw.
Look at you go.
Oh my.
Why'd you break?
Because I was getting a little too close.
A little bit too close?
Let's just try one more time.
Are you stuck?
What?
Are you stuck? Go fast.
Boy, she came home from school and said, I want to try riding without training wheels. And we're never going back. Oh!
Yay, JD! Trini, move your butt out of the way. Look at you go, baby girl. Don't run over Colton.
Go towards me. Pedal fast. All right, let him go. Pedal. Keep coming towards me. You got it. Don't freak out. You got it. Go straight, go straight, go straight, go straight.
Pedal. What are you learning to do today?
Riding my bike.
Oh yeah, what do you think, baby? You think she's gonna learn? No.
Oh!
Let's go.
Oh, don't crash, don't crash!
You gotta have balance.
Yeah, push it. You ready? Yeah. Whoa!
Now try it. You remember how to put your brakes on? Okay, slow down, slow down, slow down. Don't pedal anymore. Put your feet backwards. Feet backwards.
Come on.
Don't get the pole, Andy. Stay away.
Ready? Stay straight. Stay straight. Good job. Stop. Stop. Use the brake.
Hi, Dad. Look at me. I'm trying to fly.
Are you okay?
Go, 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 go. Look at you go. Yay. I did it. I love myself.
Turn around now.
Oh! Oh!
Use your other foot. Push with your other foot. Go, 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 go. Pedal, pedal, pedal hard. Not into the rocks. Steer yourself away.
Now turn. And go back out on the road again. Oh! Go Speed Racer! Go Speed Racer!
This on YouTube, Mom. Don't put it. You better.
Turn the other way.
All right, guys. I hope that you enjoyed watching that as much as I did. I love watching those things. I don't really know why. It's just fun for me to do that. Anyway, hope you are having a great day. We're going to have a very, very special guest today. Jesse McAlexander, our discipleship pastor, will be here with us here in just a little bit. And we have an opportunity for you to text in some questions anonymously to Jesse. We're going to be unpacking John chapter 15, so you may want to get there in a Bible if you can. But if you have any questions for him or about the passage that we'll be looking at, you can text those in to that number right there on the screen, 618-732-1536. I'll get those on my phone, and I'll be able to ask him questions as they come in. We'll do that. So anyway, I hope you're having a great day. I don't know if you've heard yet or not, but we are going inside the building starting this Sunday for church. We're going to have 3 services, 8 o'clock, 9:30, and 11. And then again on Wednesday at 6:30 p.m., we're going to worship inside our building. The 8 o'clock service requires you to wear a mask. So if you're going to come to that, you have to have a mask. That's the one that we're wanting to do that for. The other ones, we have masks recommended, so you can wear one. You don't have to wear one, and there is going to be social distancing in all 4 of those services as well. But we're looking forward to seeing everybody once again, yeah, just a great time. I don't know about you, but man, those fail videos that we just watched, like those things make me laugh so hard. I love watching them. I don't know. I used to go around saying like I've perfected the art of almost falling because I'm really klutzy like that. I remember one time riding my own bike down this hill when I was in like 3rd grade, going down, and I saw people like jumping like this stuff at the end, and I was like, oh, I can do that. So I go, and I remember hitting that thing and my bike stopping, and I did not, and just went flying over. It was very, very painful, but it was a lot of fun at the same time. Hey, earlier today, Jesse McAlexander, our discipleship pastor, is going to be on here in just a minute, was in a sit-up challenge with Megan Rydens. Megan is one of our junior high students. Her mom, Eris, works here at the church. Many of you know Megan and her mom, Eris, and her other sisters, Allison and Caitlin as well. They wouldn't do it. They're too chicken. But Megan and Jesse faced off on a sit-up challenge. Let's watch the video of what that was right here. All right, everyone, here I am with Jesse and Megan Rydens, and we are going to have a sit-up challenge to see who can do the most sit-ups in a certain amount of time. Yet to be determined because we haven't talked about that yet. But yeah, so how do you feel about this? You think you're gonna win, Jesse?
Oh, totally confident.
No, I can beat you.
All right. Well, we're about to find. Are you guys ready? You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Whoever can do the most sit-ups. Set. 3, 2, 1. Start.
I'm at 53. I'm done. No, it's cool. It's cool.
60.
All right. So here we are. We are done. Megan obviously won that by 10 sit-ups, and she just decided to stop going. So how do you feel, Jesse?
Charitable.
Megan? Great.
I could keep going.
You could keep going? About how many more do you think you could do?
All of them.
You could do 100? All right. Awesome. Well, you have won a Dairy Queen gift card for doing that. So congratulations. All right, guys. We'll see you later. hope you enjoyed watching that challenge. It was a lot of fun to be there. Hey, don't forget, if you have any questions for Jesse, text them to that number as we're going throughout this, and we'll make sure that we get those things asked. So Jesse, come on up. Man, most of you guys already know Jesse. He's been on staff here for 2 years now, right? Yeah, and he's been in part of high school youth group, and he's spoken to the high school youth group and stuff as well. And anyway, Jesse, why don't you tell them just a little bit about your background really quick in like 10 seconds or less.
Okay, first of all, I didn't know that we could see everyone. That's pretty cool. So my name's Jesse. I grew up a military kid, moving around all the time. Graduated high school, went to college, Bible college at cross-cultural ministry. My wife and I, Jessie, moved to Thailand for 3 years, and then came back to the States, went to seminary, and now I have my degree in counseling as well. And so I've been serving here as a pastor of discipleship and counseling, and me and Matt, of course, like you just said, work with you guys sometimes.
Yeah. So with that, we're gonna start to unpack John chapter 15. It's a great verse on just discipleship, right? Yep. And so before we get into that, I just kind of want to get, Jesse, you're the discipleship pastor, right? So what does discipleship actually mean for a high school, junior high student?
Yeah, so in a really small nutshell, you could say discipleship is really just what it means for us to follow Christ. And the word discipleship means student literally, but what that looks like and how we understand it today is quite different from what it would have meant in Jesus' day.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump into that. We're going to start, you can see right here on the screen, it says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes, so that it will be even more fruitful. You are already clean because of the word I have spoken to you. Remain in me, also, as I also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. So just as you're reading that, right, what are some of the things that you would want to point out to students?
Yeah, so as I go through this passage, a couple of things that we need to understand is that through Christ, he is the only way to be saved. And he says that we have to remain in him, so that's a continual relationship that we're supposed to have with him. And like I said, discipleship looks different today than it would have back then, or what we understand it as. Today, we tend to think a lot of learning happens in like a classroom for a limited amount of time. For Jesus to have disciples would have meant that they would have left everything. They would have followed him. They would have lived with him. It was very hands-on type of approach to learning. What he also says in this passage is that every branch that is not connected to him is cut off. So he's making this very real statement that there is no kind of riding the fence. There is no halfway. It's either you're connected or you're not. And he makes that serious because he wants us to be connected to him. He wants us to know what's at stake. And what was the last part of that passage?
Yeah. So, I'm true about every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. Every branch that does. He prunes it so that you can bear more fruit.
That's
as well.
right. Yeah.
So what does that actually? So he's using, right? Jesus is using an analogy here. He's not saying that we're actually branches. He's going to cut parts of us off.
Hopefully.
Right? Yeah. I haven't lost a finger yet. Right. So, but no. Like, what does that really mean? Like, what is he trying to say here using this imagery?
Right. So yeah, John is writing this passage, and that word to prune is actually a Greek kind of play on words. It actually means to cleanse. But it can be used both ways in the Greek. So for us to be continually cleansed, what that means is that Jesus is coming into our lives. We're allowing him to cleanse us of our sinful nature, to, we use this church word sanctification. It just means to become more holy like God is, to become more Christ-like. But in order for that to happen, we have to be willing to give up the parts of our life that aren't beneficial. And as you guys know, like when you prune a garden or something like that, you're cutting off the branches so that the parts that need to grow the most can, and so that they can bear fruit.
Yeah, so absolutely. And so it's not an easy thing to go through, right?
It can be painful.
It's hard. It's hard to when you guys know, like, you have character flaws just like I do, just like Jesse does, and well, maybe not Jesse, right? But we all have character flaws, things that are not like God in us, right? And to get those things out of our lives, man, it's not easy, it's not fun, but it really is what's best for us. And so that's what God offers us. He offers us the best for us. And he continues on. He says, okay, remain in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit itself unless it remains in the vine, so neither can you unless you remain in me. And so let's bring that back up just to make sure we get to the end of that. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. Yeah. So he's talking about just staying there and having a consistency in our faith. Right. And so how can we be consistent within our faith? Like, what are some ways that you would tell students, like, okay, this is something you can do?
Yeah. So at the end of this verse, he's saying, if you remain in me, then the natural result of that will be bearing fruit. And, we kind of use this language, or Jesus does in this passage. But what that really means is that people will see the results of what it looks like when we are connected to Christ. And so what are some ways that we can do that today? Well, there's actually a few things that even we as a staff, I remember asking at one point, some people, they do daily devotions, they just crack open their Bible every day, read a couple verses or a chapter, something like that. As you guys may or may not know, we have a subscription to Right Now Media, which is a video-based subscription that we have, and it's open to our entire church if you want that. Shoot me an email at jesse@greenvillefcc.org. I'll give you free access to it to create your own account. And there are literally tens of thousands of video curriculums that you can use for that. Any topic you want. Some people will go through different books, and I know, Matt and I, we always talk about different books that we're reading that focus on certain things, Francis Chan or David Platt. There's a number of really good authors out there. And they talk specifically about discipleship and what that means to be connected to Christ. So there's lots of things, and if you guys have more questions, feel free to shoot those out as well.
Yeah. So Jesus continues on as he's talking. He says, I am the vine and you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. But apart from me, you can do nothing. Like that just is crazy, right? Because we want to be our own people. Like we want to do some great things. And Jesus here, he's like, you have to remain in me in order for that to happen. Right? So we can try to do all these awesome things for God, but if we're not in him, then it means nothing.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like trying to go to a fruit market, and I don't know if you guys seen this. It's not really in vogue anymore, but like a lot of times people in previous generations would have like wax fruit on their countertop, right? And it looks so real. And the biggest, upset of the day would be when you go to grab like a nice juicy looking apple and you bite into it only to find out it's wax. And I think the same thing can be true of us, right? I think naturally we want to depend on ourselves. We want to, deep down, I think we would wish that our faith was more works-based, that we could earn our salvation by doing things, because then we can see the progress, we can check the box, we can say, look at me. But Jesus is very clear. He says that doesn't happen. You're only going to bear fruit. You're only going to be able to do amazing things because you're connected to me. It's going to come from me and being connected to me. So I think if we try to sell off what God looks like on our own strength and what we think is best, the world's going to see right through that. And then when they really get a taste of what, it's going to be an upset to them because it's not from God. It's just going to be what we're trying to do on our own.
Have you ever tried to bite into like a fruit and you think that it's going to be so good, and it's like, oh, that was so disappointing. Like when you go to buy a watermelon for like the first time in the season, it's watermelon coming out. I love watermelon, right? It's like one of my favorite summertime fruits that you can get, and you get it, and it's too early in the season, and it's like, oh, that was just such a disappointment.
It's but like mushy.
You wait a little bit, and it's gonna be great. So hey, this is a great question that just came in from somebody who says, how do I become a disciple and share the news of Jesus Christ? So why don't you walk them through what that looks like?
Yeah. So Jesus makes a lot of statements about what it means to be a disciple, to be one of his followers, and actually brought this up for our men's groups just yesterday, is that a lot of times, like you guys have seen these military slogans like be all you can be, join the Navy, your life's an adventure, accelerate your life, all these things. You see all the benefits, but what do they not tell you? Oh, by the way, this job could cost you an arm and a leg, like literally. This could cost you your life. Yeah. You never see those kind of ads that say like, are you willing to lose both your legs? Join the military. They don't do that, right? And I think sometimes they like to focus on the good and not always talk about the difficult side of service. I think sometimes as Christians, right, as soldiers of Jesus Christ, I am a. How's the song go? No.
I don't know what song you're talking about.
I'm in the Lord's army.
Oh,
That's what it is. Yeah. We too can we can tend to focus on telling people about the good news of Jesus Christ by telling, oh, your sins can be forgiven, your life will be changed, you can leave your old life behind. But what Jesus always told people was different. He said, yeah, you're going to have to deny yourself every single day.
Your life will be changed.
Oh
because
yeah,
you're doing those
absolutely.
things, right?
There are all the benefits, but he also reminds us that there are going to be difficult times. And he says, if you know that I have suffered, you can expect to suffer the same way, that people will ridicule you, they'll persecute you. But in order to become a disciple, which is what the question is, it's a matter of diving into God's word, getting to know who Jesus is from what he tells us about himself and what he tells us in terms of how we are to live ourselves. And that's a continual life journey.
Yeah.
You and I, we're still on that. Tyson's working towards that. Even D, as long as he's been around, he is still working on discipleship and his own spiritual life as well.
And along with that, like, it's not something that we ever fully attain. Like even Paul says, like, not that I've obtained this yet, but he presses on because there's going to be a finality to that eventually. Yeah. And actually, we're not going to get to it, but if you continue on in John 15, after where we're going to end tonight, Jesus comes out and says people are going to hate you because they hated me. Right, so there's going to be things along with being a Christian that aren't going to be fun, to be honest. But if we remain in Him, then we get some amazing things happen with us. But there is a truth to that we need to stay. So
and I would say, just lastly, a big thing that I would say has helped me, and I would say from our conversations would help you, and even from other staff, is that having people around you to keep you growing, because it's hard when you're doing something alone, right? Yeah. It's hard to stay motivated. I'm trying to get back into running right now. I hate running, but I know if someone else is behind me and they're coming up on me, I'm more likely to push myself a little bit harder. And I think having mentors, having people that keep you accountable and test you and challenge you. I know Matt and we like to say, hey, what do you think about this topic? And, kind of see where we land and challenge each other.
And along with that, though, we can't rely on other people all the time. Like, you guys can't rely on me as your youth minister to continue to grow. Like, at some point, you have to take care of that yourself. Just like you can't rely on your parents to always feed you. Right? At some point, you're going to have to learn how to cook yourself, or you're going to starve to death or spend all your money eating out. Yeah. And that's not good either. So it's the same thing with the Word of God as you continue to grow. So let's continue on. He says, if you remain in me and I in you, you bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. If you do not remain in me, you are like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire, and burned. If you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish, and it will be done for you. This is to my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit, showing yourself to be my disciples. So that's kind of a scary thought to think about. If we say, okay, I want to be with Jesus, and then we don't stay there, what is he saying there?
Yeah, so I like to contrast these two people that Jesus encounters in the book of Luke. And one is the rich young ruler. I'm sure you guys know about this well-to-do young guy. And he asked Jesus, like, hey, what must I do to be able to go to heaven? And Jesus says, oh, you follow the law, you do what Scripture says. And he goes, yeah, I've done that. And he goes, okay, then all that's left is to give up what matters most to you, and that's going to be your wealth. And it says he goes away sad, right? We don't really know what his eternal life is going to be like. But then a few chapters later, we see a wee little man named Zacchaeus, who is also very well-to-do, and Jesus has an encounter with him, and this guy is willing to give up everything. And Jesus' response is, salvation has come to this guy's house today. So I think you see this comparison of someone who's willing to be with Jesus, who wants to be with him, and salvation being a part of that, and then someone who's unwilling to give up certain things and follow Jesus and not having that same salvation. So in order to bear fruit, in order to be connected, we have to be with Christ. We have to be totally 100% into that. And if we're not, then Jesus makes it very clear. It's not you were 70% there. No, that's not how it works. You're either all in or you're not.
Yeah. And so he gives us, this is to my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. And so there's a proof to it. The way that we live proves what we believe. Yeah. So what are your actions saying about you and following Jesus? Okay. Hey, we're going to play a quick game. We'll jump back on here. Don't forget to text those questions. We're going to play a quick game about restaurants here. So basically, we're going to play restaurants emoji edition. What you'll have to do is you need to basically decipher what the restaurant name is. Don't raise your hand, obviously. Just throw it into the comments because if you raise your hand, I can't see who it is anyway. So throw your answer into the comments when you think you know what it is. The first one should be super easy here for you, right? What restaurant is that? What restaurant do you think that is? We'll wait here just a second for some of you guys. Right, Burger King. That one was pretty simple, right? Let's see. What's the next one here? Oh, there we go. What is this one? What restaurant is this? I haven't eaten here in a long time. I love it. It's great. It's great. It is Red Lobster. Congratulations, those of you who got that right. The next one, this one should be super easy. I spent like all last week talking about this. So if you can't get this one, it's really, really sad. So the correct answer is, in fact,
Taco Dingy.
Taco Bell. All right. What about this one? This one's a little bit trickier. It was a little bit trickier. I liked it. I thought it was good.
I got it.
You got it? Jesse's got it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Jesse, what do you think it is?
I know that there are no rules and it's just right.
It is Outback Steakhouse.
That's right. Down under.
Outback Steakhouse. Congratulations to those of you who got that one correct. All right. Here we go. Now this one, I heard that Breeze is getting one of these. That's what I heard.
I'm not holding my breath.
That's what D said yesterday, and D is a wise old man.
He forgets stuff.
All right. So this one is, in fact, Applebee's, like multiple B's there, right? All right. This one again should be super easy. They've got some pretty good. I can't say what it is because I like, and it would give it away. The correct, excuse me, correct one is.
They have some good raccoon.
Polar Express. I mean Panda Express.
Polar Express.
Raccoon. What? All right. One more. Last one here. This one should be pretty easy as well. What do you think? The correct answer is here.
Milkmaid.
Milkmaid. Nice, Jesse. Nice. Nope. The correct answer is, in fact,
Cow.
Dairy Queen. It is Dairy Queen. Hey, congratulations to those of you who got that one right. We're going to go ahead, like I said, continue on talking to Jesse here just about discipleship and what that really means. As we challenge you guys to grow as disciples. And Jesus is having this conversation with his followers, and he continues on and he says this. All right, he says, "As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love. And if you keep my commands, you will remain in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commands and remain in his love. I've told you this so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete. My command is this: love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends." Right? He's talking about love here. Like this entire section, he's continuing to talk about this. It's like, as God has loved me, I have loved you. Now stay there. What does that really mean to remain in Jesus' love?
Yeah, I mean, you look at this passage, that word is mentioned 10 times, if I remember right. That word remain or abide, depending on whatever translation you have. And he's saying it because it's important. It means to remain, to stay, to be constant, to be consistent. And it's like this, I like to see it as a relationship. I think you see throughout Scripture, God, he characterizes his relationship with people like a husband and a wife. Mm-hmm. And when the people aren't faithful to him, he's saying, you've committed adultery with me. You're out there worshiping other things. You're giving your life to them, giving yourselves to them. And as a way, you're showing that you don't love me when you do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And so he's saying to remain in that. And he's obviously talking about himself. He says, greater love has no one than to lay down his life for someone else, right? I mean, that's what Jesus does for us. And so how do we show other people love? Well, like Jesse said earlier, we die to ourselves. Like we no longer consider ourselves as the most important person, and yet we try to become a servant like Jesus did. as well with his followers. And so he doesn't just call them, followers. He doesn't call them disciples anymore. He in fact, it says, "You are my friends if you do what I command." Like, I no longer call you servants, because a servant does not know his master's business. Instead, I have called you friends, for everything that I learned from my Father I have made known to you. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit that will last. And so that whatever you ask in my name, the Father will give you. And this is my command: love each other. Right? So they move on from servants to friends. Like, that's a pretty big deal, right? Like, what would that mean for that time?
Yeah, so that word servant in the Greek, it's doulos. It means literally slave, because all throughout time there's been a tiered systems of society, and this would have been the person that literally did everything for that person. They had a master, they had a slave. Paul numerous times calls himself a slave to Christ, and that is literally what Christ calls us to be, is his slaves. He is our master. We're the ones that we are willing to give totally everything away and be obedient to him. But in this passage, like you said, he says, you've kind of become more than that, in the way that I'm letting you in to I'm letting you know about what my business is. And in that time, the slaves, the servants, however you want to look at it, they wouldn't have inside knowledge of the inner workings of the business or what their masters did or anything like that. And Jesus is saying, now we're different. This relationship, you're still serving me, you're still going to be obedient, but I'm letting you into the inside circle here.
Yeah, and so and he's like, you didn't choose this either. Like I want you, And I mean, how cool is that for Jesus to look at you and say, like, hey, I want you in my life. I want you as my friend, right? Like, that's just an awesome thing. But there's something that we have to do in order to stay there. And the last thing he says is, "This is my command: is to love each other."
Right.
And it's so hard to do.
Oh, for sure. And then like that last verse, he says, it's no greater love than this, than someone that's willing to give up their life for someone else. And I know that we can all think of stories specifically of people in the military who've dived on a grenade or jumped in front of a hail of bullets and things like that. Those definitely are acts of bravery and courage, and people who showed ultimate love and affection for someone else, in that they gave up their life for them. And I think what Christ is calling us to is to give up our own lives, die to ourselves, so that we can serve him, but also do amazing things for those around us in a way that, I mean, Jesus even talks about this later on in chapter 17. He says, the way that you guys will love each other will show the world that I really am who I say I am.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Now you're laughing. I'm guessing we got an interesting question coming
I'm
in.
laughing because Tola Snow texts me directly and says, "My question for night, can you please shave that freaky beard thing?" No, Tola, I cannot. It's impossible. It doesn't go away.
Here we are trying to talk about discipleship and God's love, and Tola's talking about his peach
texting me. Yeah, so man, Jesse, it was so great having you here, having you talk to the students.
It's good to see my little Farfanugans.
Yeah, so Jesse's normally the man behind the computer. We put him in front of it this time. Hey, look at that. Hey. But hey, make sure if you want to get involved in Right Now Media to study some stuff, Jesse or I can help you with that. In fact, in the next couple of days, you'll see a video that kind of walks you through a tutorial that I'm putting together along with Eris and Michelle for our families and for our students.
Absolutely.
That's going to show you a lot of resources that we have as a church for you during this time. But just because we're done with YouTube Live, Students Live right now for this week. This is going to be our last week. I don't remember if I said that earlier or not. This is going to be our last week for this. We're going to move into trying to do some things in person this summer. All right. So not quite sure what that plan is quite yet, but we're going to be spending some time over the next week or so to really iron that out and get that information out to you guys as quickly as possible. We got a few different options as to what we can do, and we might combine some things. But man, I'm looking forward to actually seeing you guys again. This has been so weird to do youth group like this. It's been kind of fun and learning some new things, but in some ways. But man, I just miss being with you guys, and so we're going to try to get together a little bit. Obviously, we're limited to what we can do, and so as we continue to plan those things, man, we're going to get together with you guys at some point this summer. I'm sure by now you've heard that Bond Camp is canceled and See How I Move is canceled and those types of things. But that doesn't mean that the church is canceled. Like, you are still a disciple. you are still a part of the body. We encourage you to come Sunday mornings or Wednesday night and sit with your family during that time. If you guys need to wear a mask, man, wear a mask, social distance, do all the right things that we're asked to do, so we can knock this coronavirus out and we don't have to worry about it as much anymore. But man, just so glad that you guys have continued to join us each and every week here on YouTube Live as we kind of walk through the past 3.5 months of this. It's crazy. It's crazy. So, do you have anything else that you want to share with them, Jesse?
I don't think so. I think we covered it all. Just, hang in there. I know you guys, it's kind of craziness with how just life is right now, but we're almost through it, I think. And every single day we're getting closer to getting back to normal. So,
absolutely.
We're almost there.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Hey, let me tell you what. Have a great week. Can't wait to see you again very, very soon.